ॐ वागीशाद्याः सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्याः स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। योगिनं विश्वनाथाख्यम् अस्मत्तातस्वरूपिणम् आत्मलाभात् परं लाभं वक्तारं न कदाचन। गीतार्थग्रन्थकर्तारं श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मे वाचं धृतिं बुद्धिं प्रचोदयात्। ॐ नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमः। ॐ Friends, this is the third lecture on the Sanat Sujatiyam series. Sanat Sujatiyam consists of 4 chapters. We were almost in the middle of the second chapter last time, but in the first chapter, in one of the slokas, I forgot to mention an important idea, so I am taking that up now. दोषो महान् अत्र विभेदयोगे अनादियोगे न भवन्ति नित्याहं ततस्य नाधिक्यमपैति किञ्चित् अनादियोगे न भवन्ति पुंसः. This is sloka number 20 of first chapter. This was in reply to Dhritarashtra's question, who directs from within? Of course, Sanat Sujata said, you should not distinguish between somebody inside and somebody outside. There is only one thing. We saw all that. In that sloka, he says, if you make this kind of difference, anadi yogena bhavanti nityaha. He uses a word, anadi yoga. What is anadi yoga? You would not have heard of it in the Gita. You would not have heard of it anywhere else. This is the one place, probably the only place where Anadi Yoga appears. But it is beautiful. Our scriptures, as I told you, they always use the same technical words at the same context, whoever the author is. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi, 13th chapter in the Gita. Prakriti and Purusha, they are Anadi, sourceless, beginningless. They have been there all the time. They are saying that. So, Sanat Sujata connects that Anadi and Yoga and says this is a technique. Yoga is a technique, is a procedure. Procedure, if you want to call it in a medical term, technique, if you want to call it in a common sense term, or program, if you want to call it in the computer language. Anyway, yoga, and yoga itself we all understand, the Vedantic people. Anadi yoga means the yoga which has been there in vogue from time immemorial. What does it refer? It refers to the composite existence of Prakriti and Purusha. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi. Both are Anadi. They come from the infinite past. So that is called Anadi Yoga. And Shankaracharya comments in the commentary, Anadihi Avidyakhya Maya. Avidya, ignorance. Avidya, Maya by the name of Avidya. That is Anadi. So, by Anadi Maya Yoga, the non-dual reality, the one supreme reality appears as many. Ajay, eko Anadi Yoga. So it is that Anadi Yoga which gives you the appearance as if there are many. That is why Sanat says to Dhritarashtra, Anadi yogena bhavanti nityaha. Because of the Anadi yoga, because of this Maya, you think that there is somebody inside and there is somebody outside. Don't think like that. By distinguishing like that, you will be doing a great fault. Mayaya Bahurupatvam, the Bahurupa, the many, one becomes many, one appears as many. This itself is the Maya. This is why the Upanishad says, Rupam Prati Rupo Babhuva, Ajayamano Bahudha Vijayate. All such differences are only phenomenal. Maya takes care of all apparent contradictions. You think that there is somebody inside directing these things. This is a Maya. So it is the Maya that making it appear to you as if there is somebody from inside. And this Maya itself disappears when Brahman is realized as the non-dual self. So, dosho mahanatra vibhoeda yoge hyanadi yoge na bhavanti nityaha tathasya nadhikyamapaiti kinchitim anadi yoge na bhavanti pumsaha. Because of the presence of Maya, there is no defect in the Supreme Reality, just as a snake has poison in its system. We will go to, as you know, I am selecting certain shlokas. So in the same first chapter, I am going to number 32 now. Kohyeva mantaratmanam brahmano mantumarhati nirlingamachalam shuddham sarvatdvandva vivarchitam. So he is describing Brahman. When he is describing Brahman, he is being very careful. Remember, Brahman is an abstraction. Abstraction is a word which the mathematicians and physicists use, and others do not understand what is abstraction. But even the mathematicians and physicists who understand abstraction will not be able to easily understand the meaning of abstraction in Vedanta. There is a difference between the abstraction in mathematics, abstraction in physics, and the abstraction in Vedanta. For example, infinity is an abstraction in mathematics. But we are going to talk about infinity very soon here. But that infinity and this Vedantic infinity are two different infinities. Mathematical infinity can be precisely defined. You can write a definition. So, the yato vacho nivartante, the words recoil from the description of that infinity, says the Upanishad. Upanishad is not able to describe the Supreme Brahman. It says it cannot be done by any words. This is not applicable to mathematical infinity. Mathematical infinity, it is all very precise, very precisely it can be defined, it can be talked about, it can be symbolized, it can be shown, and so many things you can prove about it. Though of course they themselves will not be understandable easily to the common man. For example, if you think of all the integers and take away the odd integers out of that, then you will find the even integers. They are also infinite, this is also infinite, and you can say that from infinity comes infinity, both are infinity. This kind of thing will not happen in Vedanta. We are going to see it at the fifth final lecture today. Okay. Kohyeva mantaratmanam. So this shloka says, Sanat Sujata, as you know, started with very elementary things, answering Dhritarashtra's questions. But Sanat Sujata cannot contain himself. He is the greatest Vedantic scholar, and he was a Brahmi Bhuta himself. He was a Brahmajnani. So he is going higher and higher and higher, soaring high. So here he says, remember, Atman is not an object of perception. You cannot know the Atman. You cannot see the Atman, everybody tries to understand. You cannot even know the Atman because it is not an object to be known. The self is not an object to be known. You are yourself the self, and therefore how do you see? So, therefore, the knowing, the perception is possible only when the perceiver and the perceived are different. When the perceiver and the perceived are different, perception is possible. When the perceiver and the perceived are the same, there is no question of perception. There is no question of knowledge. That is why you cannot know the self. You can realize the self. You can become the self. You are the self. There is no question of becoming. Even the word becoming is wrong. So here in this shloka he says, Nirlingam, Achalam, Shuddham, Sarvatdvandva Vivarjitam. Nirlingam, no attributes. You cannot say it is black or white, tall or small, nothing. Nirlingam. Is it sthula or sukshma? That is it visible or subtle? You cannot say anything. Achalam. Achalam. Kriyakatraadishunyam. That is no action. Achalam simply means no moving. But Shankaracharya, when he interprets it, he says there is no action. Kriya Kartradi Shunyam. Kriya means the action. Kartri means the agent of action. There is no agent of action, there is no action. No action, no agency of action. This is the nature of that Atma, the self. Shuddham. Shuddham means pure. But the meaning that Shankaracharya gives is avidya dosha rahitam. Avidya is ignorance. Dosha, avidya dosha is the fault of ignorance. It is devoid of the fault of ignorance. Devoid of the fault of ignorance. Sarva dvandva vivarjitam. Sarva dvandva vivarjitam. Sarva, all, dvandva, duality, vivarjitam, devoid of. Devoid of any duality. Hunger and thirst, sorrow or delusion, jara or death, heat or cold, sukha or dukkha. No duality. Because hunger and thirst are what? Are only, they affect only the prana. Sorrow or delusion affect only the properties of the mind. They are not properties of the self. Jara and death, the old age and death, they are properties of the body. Heat and cold, again the properties of the body. Sukha or dukkha, properties of the mind. So, sarva dvandva vivarjitam. When that is so, how are you going to expect to know the Atman? How are you going to expect to describe the Atman in words? So Sanat Sujata says, Kohyeva mantaratmanam brahmano mantumarhati nirlingam achalam shuddham sarvatvandva vivarjitam. Having said this, he comes to this important shloka, 33rd shloka. Yonyatha santamatmanam anyatha pratipadyate kimtena nakritam papam chorena atmapaharina. This is an important shloka. I am going to dwell on this a little while. What does this say? It simply says, one who comprehends the Atman wrongly, one who comprehends or renders or considers or deems. Pratipadyate. Pratipadyate means renders, deems, considers, whatever. So one who comprehends the Atman as different from what it truly is, yonyata santam atmanam anyatha pratipadyate. Yaha anyatha santam atmanam. The Atma is one way. Anyatha pratipadyate, you are projecting it, you are rendering it, you are describing it in a different way. Whoever does this, yaha anyatha santam atmanam, anyatha pratipadyate, kimtena nakritam papam. What sin has he not committed? What sin has he not committed? Chorena atma apaharina. Chorena, he is a thief. He has hijacked the Atman, the self. That is what he is saying. Atma apahari. Atma apahari. I have a chart here which explains this word Atma apahari. Atma apahari is a technical word. As I told you, the scriptures use the correct word at the correct time in the same way. Ishopanishad, Ishavasyopanishad uses Asurya namate lokam andhena tamasavritah tamse pratyabhigachanti eke chatmahano janaham. So even describes the bad doers, those who have forgotten the Atman, those who are thinking that this BMI, the body, mind, intellect is the Atman, involuntarily, they don't know that they are doing that thinking. So they are Atmahanaha. They have killed the Atman. Atmahanaha. Atma apahari. So that is one who has hijacked or taken away the Atman to himself. Now, who are these Atmapaharis? Who are supposed to be the Atmapaharis? If you look at the chart, I have given there in the top table false I on the left hand side, as you can see, false I, and the real I is in the rightmost column. Now, what do you mean by this Atmapahari? Deha dharmas, Deha dharma, the dharma of the body. Deha dharma. The dharma of the body is wrongly ascribed to the Atman. What do? Somebody pinches me. I feel the pain. Who feels the pain? This body feels the pain. But I say, I feel the pain. I feel the pain. So, I talk, remember, whenever I use the I talk as if I am the real I. So when I say I feel the pain, it is actually the false I. Remember, there is a false I and a real I. What is the false I? False I is the body, mind, intellect, the Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula Sharira, and all the things, the 5 koshas, right? All of them include, I am putting all of them in the false I because the self is other than all these. So the self is the real I. The false I is all of this. Now, when I say I feel the pain, it is the false I that feels the pain. But I talk as if it is the real I that feels the pain. For example, I say I am tall, I am small, I am short, I am deaf, I am dumb, I am blind. In all these cases, the use of the word I uses only the false I. It does not refer to the real I. But we have confusion between the false I and the real I. So what are you doing here? We are doing, that is, when I say I feel the pain, there is a karma that is happening in the false I case. Right? The jnani, who is the Brahmajnani, he knows that it is only the false I that is feeling the pain, the real I is not feeling the pain. So, in this karmani, he sees akarma. That is, the real I does not have any such pain, it is not doing any karma. The false I is doing this karma. Karmani akarmaya pasyet, akarmani cha karmaya, 4th chapter in the Gita, one of the major shlokas of the Gita, it says that you have to see karma in akarma, akarma in karma, karmani akarma f pashet, karmani akarma. So the false I is doing certain things, it is being wrongly attributed to the real I, therefore you are a thief. You are wrongly ascribing something to the real I which it is not. I will now go to the converse. Just now I said the body dharma, the dharmas of the body, the properties of the body, mind, intellect are being attributed to the real I. This is easily understood when I say that I feel the pain but I am not, real I is not feeling the pain. Now come to the other thing. Now I am going to tell you how the Atma dharmas, you can see in the same table, the bottom table, Atma dharmas. Atma dharma means dharma of the self. Dharma of the self. What is the dharma of the self? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. That is all the dharma. It is always there. It is always aware. And Anantam. It is infinite. It is everywhere. So that is the Atma dharma. What are we doing? I go to sleep. The false I. Suppose the false I is asleep. After waking up, what does the false I say? The false I says, I slept happily. How does the false I know that it slept? It was not aware of the sleep during the sleep. So after the sleep, it has an inference. Oh, I have lost my time for the past 1 hour, so I must have been sleeping. So that only by inference. It never experiences the happiness of sleep. The false I does not. You look at the bottom table on the rightmost corner, the false I is there. How it never experiences the happiness during sleep, because to experience it, its mind should be awake. But the mind was sleeping. I am talking of the total sleep, not dreaming sleep. So, both the awareness as well as the awareness that it exists and the happiness that it is supposed to have experienced, both this it only borrows from the real I after it wakes up. So what does the false I do? The false I is appropriating the dharma of the Atman to itself. Apahari, choraha. He is the choropahari, chorena atmapahari. We don't know whether Dhritarashtra understood all this, but look at the heights of Vedanta that Sanat Sujata is talking from. Himtena nakartam papam chorena atmapaharina yonyatha santamatmanam anyatha pratipadyate. This is a very oft quoted shloka. And this atmaghati, Gita Krishna also uses. You know where? In the 18th chapter, he talks of three different kartas. Sattvika karta, Rajasa karta, that is the doer, Sattvika doer, Rajasa doer, and the Tamasa doer. The three kinds of doer. Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa. Sattvika is up above, that is most noble. Rajasa is middle way, dynamic, and Tamasa is dull. So I am using the word Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa. So he says, Ragi karma pala prepsurlubdho himsatmako shijahi. So harsha shokan vitakarta rajasa parikirtate. That is, 18th chapter, he describes three different kartas. Ayukta prakrita saptaga shato naishkritiko lasaga vishadi dirghasutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. So these two kartas, the ragi, the one which is full of passion, karmapala prepsuhu, who is always after the results of action, karma pala prepsuhu, ragi karma pala prepsuhu, harsha shokanvita. Always, if it is coming right, he is happy. If it is not coming right, he is down. He is downcast. So harsha shokanvita karta, he is the Rajasa karta. Similarly, the even worse than this is Tamasa karta, ayuktaha, prakritaha. Very strong, pungent words Gita, Krishna uses. Anyway, these two kartas are atmagatis. This is what the Isha Upanishad says. Eke cha atmahano jana. Because they go to the nether worlds and worlds down and down. Asurya namate loka. On the other hand, Sattvika karta is there. Mukta sango nahamvadi Satyutsaha samanvitaham Siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraham Karta sattvika uchyate. Mukta sangaha, without any attachment. Mukta sangaha. Anahamvadi. Anahamvadi is an important word there. Anahamvadi. Ahamvadi, talking, saying, I am the doer. Anahamvadi, saying, that is realizing with conviction, I am not the doer. Anahamvadi. So, that is part of the qualification of a Sattvika karta. This Anahamvadi, you see, though the Gita says this, it is very difficult to operate, and that is the most difficult thing to operate. And that is why, as a ritual, they have kept a japa for us once every year, for all Brahmins at least. That is what is called a Kamokarshi japam at the time of Shravan. And what does that japa say? It says, Kamokarshit, Manyurakarshit, Kamaha akarshit. Desire did this. I did not do this. Manyuhu akarshit. Krodha, that is anger. Manyu is krodha, that is anger. Desire and anger. Kama and krodha. Remember Raga and Dvesha. Everywhere Krishna is never tired of taking these two things and saying they are the greatest evils of mankind. Raga Dvesha Vyuktaischa Vishayan Indriyaischaran Atmavaschair Videya Atma Prasada Madigachari. Just these two, Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava, these are the two villains. These are the two evils. So that is why that japa says, Kamokarshid namo namaham, Kamokarshid, Kamak karoti naham karomi, Kamak karta naham karta, Kamak karayita naham karayita, Kamakavaya swaha, Manyurakarshi Namo Namaha. Manyurakarshi Manyuh Karoti Naham Karomi Manyuh Karta Naham Karta Manyuh Karayita Naham Karayita. I hope you understand it, even though I am saying it in Sanskrit. It was the Manyu, it was the Kama, it was the desire who did this, not I. It was the desire who caused me do this, and not I. Like that. Kama Karoti Naham Karomi. Kama Karta Naham Karta. This is supposed to be meditated, done as a japa 108 times, at least once a year, so that the Anahamvadi idea sinks in you. The Anahamvadi idea. Anyway, that is why. So now we can go back to the natural mode. Yes. Yonyatha santamatmanam anyatha pratipadyate kim tena nakritam papam chorena atma apaharina. So that's a very strong word, chora, that he uses. Now let us go forward. We will finish the first chapter of Sanat Suryatiyam now by quoting two more slokas. Ashrantasyadanadata sammato nirupadravaha shishto na shishtavat syate brahmano brahmavid kavihi. Therefore, what is the ideal person? So that ideal person, Sanat Sujata describes. Anadata. Anadata means he who does not superimpose the properties of gross and subtle bodies on the Atman. This is the most important thing. We are always saying everything about myself as I am, I do this, I do this. This I has to go. That is why you must have heard of those who have read the biography of Ramana Maharshi would know that Ramana Maharshi started even as a boy when he left off home and wrote a letter. He wrote in the letter, it says, this body is going now. So this body is going now, leaving everything. He has already realized that Atman is not the body. He is different from the body. So that is Anadata. He will be Ashrantaha. He will be free from all miseries of samsara. He will live like an inert person. That is like Brahmajnani, like a Jadabharata. And then in the last sloka of the first chapter, Sanat Sujata comes down. He wants to summarize. He is not summarizing. He is finally giving a message. Second chapter, again, he is going to ask about other things, and we have seen part of the second chapter already. But the last sloka of the first chapter is interesting. Dwarani samyak pravadante santo bahu prakarani duracharani satyarja vehri namashauja vidya shanmana moha pratibandhakani. There are 6 doors to hell. So he is telling Dhritarashtra, 6 doors to hell. So he is coming down now. He is telling you in simple language. What are the 6 doors to hell? That is very difficult, of course. 6 doors to hell. And therefore he says there are 6 gates, 6 preventive things you have to keep so that you can enter those doors to heaven. Satyarja, Satya, Arjava, Hri, Dama, Shaucha, Vidya. Satya, truth. I mean, you can talk about it. Arjava, straightforwardness. You know what is straightforwardness? Straightforwardness is, we seem to understand what is straightforwardness. But you have to read the Valmiki Ramayana to understand what is the straightforwardness. This man, our Rama, you see, Lakshmana and Sita enter the forest. And the first thing that they meet with is that Virada, that fellow, great Rakshasa. He has come there to kill him. And first question he asks is, who are you? But the reply that Rama gives, he almost goes to 7 or 8 slokas. He has just asked, who are you? And Rama should have known that this man is an Asura or a Rakshasa. So he doesn't need any polite answer. But Rama very politely, very calmly says, I am the son of Dasharatha. Dasharatha is the king of Ayodhya. My mother and father sent me to the forest for 14 years. And he goes on saying as if nothing has happened. And this man is already going to catch Sita and put him on his... he was ready to kill Sita, he was ready to kill them. So this is the straightforward Arjava. No, but there is, even in mythological literature, there is nobody to beat Rama this Valmiki's Rama in Arjava. This is called Arjavam. Arjavam. If you want to go to the complete opposite of Arjavam, I mean, I'm sorry I have to say this, having been in Madras, Chennai for a good part of my time, you go to the auto rickshaw wala who is in the corner, lying down like that, and you ask him, hey, come on, shall we go to the beach? He'll say, oh, you can go. He won't even answer in a straightforward way. You see? Any question that you ask, this many cases in many situations in Chennai, I was surprised to find the opposite of this Arjava there. Any question you ask, he'll twist it and they will give you a different reply. There are many such people. Not that everybody in Chennai are like that, but the first time I met with such people were in Chennai. Therefore I am talking of Chennai. So Arjava is, we have all to learn Arjava from Lord Rama. Hri, I told you of Hri last time. Sense of shame in doing wrong. These are the important things. Satya, Arjava, Hri, Dama, self-control, Shaucha, purity, Vidya, learning. These are Shanmana Moha Pratigandakani. These are the preventives. These are the antidotes, pratibandakani, for your moha. Moha are of 6 kinds. We all know that. There are 6 evils. So for them, the antidote, the palliative are these things. So Satya Arjava Hri. It is interesting to have a parallel in the same Mahabharata. Remember, this is in Mahabharata, but this occurs in Udyoga Parva. But long ago, that is in the early part of the Mahabharata, when Yudhishthira ascended the Indraprastha throne, you see, with Dhritarashtra gave him, he made him the prince of that Indraprastha, and first time he became the prince, and there was a coronation, everything. And Narada comes there. Narada advises Yudhishthira, have you done this? Have you done this? And so he gives a big list. But Narada does not tell Yudhishthira the so-called good things, like the Satya Arjava Hri, that is, good qualities. Yudhishthira is a great man. I mean, he is actually the paragon of virtue. So what is the use of telling him about virtue? So Narada says, quotes, 6 things which a leader has to avoid. All our leaders, all our managers, all our political leaders, administrators, social reformers should understand this. What are the 6 things to avoid? Narada is telling you this. Very interesting. Nidra lasya bhaya krodha mardhavam dirgha sutratanga. Look at this. Sanat Sujata is telling 6 good things, qualities, good qualities to Dhritarashtra, who is the paragon of tamas. And Narada is telling Yudhishthira 6 bad things to be avoided. Have you done this? Otherwise you cannot be a great leader. What are these 6? Nidra, sleep. Remember, sleep is the greatest thing. You must know when to sleep, how much to sleep, and when not to sleep. Anyway, I have no time to go into all that. Alasya, indolence, laziness, bhaya, fear. Remember, fearlessness is a great thing for a leader. It was Mahatma Gandhi who infused that quality of fearlessness in the entire masses of India. Before him, the masses were afraid of bureaucracy, afraid of government, afraid of police, afraid of everything, afraid of tradition, afraid of the Shastras, afraid of the Brahmins. This is what they were doing. So it was Mahatma Gandhi who infused the sense of fearlessness by showing it by himself. And he said, you can face it by non-violence, not by violently, but non-violence. Anyway, that was what brought us the great independence. So, bhaya is one of the bad qualities. Krodha, anger, everybody knows. Mardhavam, softness. A leader cannot afford to be soft. Dirghasutrata. The very way I am saying it, you must know the meaning. Procrastination. Dirghasutrata. For everything you postpone it. You will do it tomorrow. And this is the major thing that all our political leaders, administrators, reformers, bureaucracy, everybody should understand. And Narada is telling Yudhishthira, have you avoided these? And it's very interesting that both of them have used the hri, the sense of shame in doing wrong in both the cases. And Sanat Sujata closes the first chapter of Sanat Sujatiyam with this shloka. Now then in our next lecture we will take the remaining part of the second chapter. Lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu.